you guys are still middle of the night. I think you were approximately in your fifth watch when shit kind of went down and the ghouls started to surround you all. So you are, in fact, still kind of high alert right now. You are freshly coming off of this battle, and one of the initial questions is going to be, what are you all feeling as to how you're going to rest right now? You have a sense of it might be viable to short rest to try to actually re-heal yourself some, so you feel safer to try to sleep for 8 hours, or you can try to delve into a sleep and start an actual sleeping process again.
So just FYI, I can see Aku's hit points right now. I don't know if that's, I presume that's not intentional.
I actually shared Aku as one of your NPCs right now. So I think on some level that's perfectly acceptable. I might make a decision about that towards the future here. Um, but as long as she's a member of the party, she's technically one of the party. And that's an NPC that you all can make choices for in the same way as like when Larry's not here, you can make choices for Aelin.
Okay. So I think immediately, kind of like after the fight, Jarek would kind of after, he's looking pretty beat up and he's been knocked unconscious a couple times, but he's going to walk over and again thank Eku for actually keeping him alive and seeing that she took a little bit of um, I think the one of the ghouls had gotten a slash in on her. He's going to offer to um, maybe try and tend to those wounds with. He's going to pull out his healer's kit and offer to try and heal her up. And then he would, once after offering that to her, he would do the same for himself.
So, don't can you actually post the wording for Healer's Kit? I'm actually kind of curious because I'm pretty sure I used Aelin to do the big heal for you, and I am not sure if that's going to preclude it for you to do it.
Okay, yeah. So I can't. It sounds like it looks like I can't use it on somebody else. Or yeah,
Yeah,
the
that's a
target can
minor
only.
thing where essentially this is kind of something where it's a little bit unforeseen. I still think the Healer's Feat is an awesome choice for you guys, or at least for you. But yeah, that one in particular, the big heal, is precluded to once per long rest, and it makes you unable to accept it again. And I'm pretty sure I can check my actual notes from last session, but I'm pretty sure I used Aelin to do that to you last session.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I didn't. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. But yeah, I read it the same way. So
So in the long run, one of the things about the healer's feat is you can always do the unstabilized creature. You can always stabilize it and give it 1 hit point, but the other one is limited to once per long rest. And that's one of the things where realistically with healers, I should probably actually keep track of that as well on my little spreadsheet for you guys. But those are kind of some of those weird little things that we'll kind of get used to. Perhaps I wonder if Larry might rethink his healer's choice with the idea that you are using it, because I think you switched to that since he's been gone, basically. But on some level, that's something for us to keep in mind. Like, I'm pretty open to if he feels like that's a mistake. I still do think that's a great choice for you, though.
yeah, I just switched to it last session. I think when I switched over to the fighter class. So yeah, he hasn't been here yet. But yeah, and I was scrolling up. I do see where you used it for Island on me. So, but
Gotcha.
I also offer to use it for Eku.
Thank you very much, but I am well enough at present. Are Can I visibly see? Are you under half hit points right now? Under a
Yes,
quarter?
I am severely bloodied still.
So let's see. I didn't really keep track of her spells last time. That wasn't really something I was immediately planning for. I feel like I did two cure wounds. I do not think that I did a third. Um, I don't think there's a good way to actually see it, but I can cast a cure wounds on you.
Yeah, I remember you used two sanctuaries, and yeah, I don't remember how many cure wounds.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's got at least the cure wounds left. I think I used up two lesser restorations, two sanctuaries, and I was thinking two cure wounds. Um, but yeah, I'm just gonna burn a cure wounds for you. I think that's just a D8 plus her wisdom, so it's gonna be a D8 plus 5 if you would like to roll a D8. So you can take 12 hit, which I think is max. Oh wait, no. I'm so used to your wizards and your sorcerer.
That actually is max. I only have 11.
Oh, word. Okay. So still managed to have a low hit point character.
Yep.
Is that just going to be your thing for now on, or forever? Is just low hit point characters?
It's every campaign I've played in, like yours and anybody else's. I always roll terribly with my hit dice. I think it one of some other campaign I was a I don't know, maybe a level 6 rogue and I had like 30 something hit points or like low 30 hit points. It was ridiculous.
Well, yeah. I mean, Justin was like 23 at 6. I feel like that was one of the lowest I've ever seen.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, him
Uh,
for him, it was he didn't have any con either, so that was even worse. I think I put him at a con 10. So now I don't do that anymore. I try to at least get some Constitution modifier bonus.
yeah, I definitely think that's a big thing to recognize. So obviously, everybody recognizes ghouls as a creature are the type of thing that once they bloodied one of you, they went for blood. So that's a big thing for you all to pick up here. With the actual use of healing, are you all ready to start to try to rest again?
Yeah, how do you feel,
Yeah,
Jeffrey?
yeah. Yeah, well that cure wounds got me back up to full. Um I don't really think we want to go moving around too much in the middle of the night. So yeah, maybe we try and get a restart, essentially restart our rest.
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
Maybe Jarek would offer to keep watch, for the first 2 hours again. After now he's, that healing kind of got him back up, and he's got his adrenaline still going. So he'd offer to take the first watch if we want to try and um, go for a full 8 hours.
So go ahead and give me a perception check. So yeah, as you kind of sit back and start to go over some of the processes of what's happened here, as you start to kind of think over some of the things about that actual attack, how vicious the ghouls were. There's a lot to think about. It keeps you quite um, active and perceptive. You're probably about 15 or 20 minutes into your watch before you start to feel like a first little raindrop. Within a few minutes, it's just a pretty steady downpour. It's not like torrential, but it's pretty continuous. Eventually, like getting under the tarp where everybody else is sleeping, you basically are inside of kind of like a little bit of a beautiful singing of the rain about you, as it's just a constant drizzle over the next hour of your watch. But as you sit by, keep thinking, keep listening, everything sounds good. Hour pretty much goes by without any issues. Do another perception for me. Uh, Rain on some level starts to lull you into a little bit of a sleep. You feel some sense of just kind of comforted, feeling like on some level the rain and everything is kind of passing. One of those things where it's very much a kind of washing away. Are you sticking to Lathander as a part of your religious system? Like you at least like follow Lathander on some level?
Yeah, he's not like really super jealous about it, but I think he'd still be
Gotcha.
a
This is the hour of the morning lord. You're literally like your actual watch, though you won't specifically know this, is from four. Like this one is from 4:30 to 5:30, so dawn is happening right now. This is a comforting moment for you as the rain is kind of washing away this previous night, and you feel a keen sensation with the morning lord, and with the moments of the rising sun, and a little bit of an appreciation towards Lathander and getting through the dark of the night, you do start to hear birds singing. And then you start to hear birds and a creature. And it's almost like a honking kind of. And then it sinks in. Let me get the animal handling from you. Most places in the world are pretty familiar with these creatures, and the sound doesn't take long for you to recognize that perhaps these birds are singing a warning that there is a boar somewhere nearby. And you hear these two different creatures kind of interacting. What thoughts does Jarek have as he starts to sense this?
so Jarek would he's um going to kind of draw his crossbow out, but he doesn't thinks he recognizes the sound as a boar. He doesn't think it's quite worth waking the others yet. He wants to maybe see if it will um, kind of pass by. He would look around to see if there's any sort of um, food around that's still uncovered that might be sort of giving off any sort of scent, and he would maybe try and if he can cover that up, thinking maybe that will um, might keep the boar from approaching. But he's essentially going to at this point try and kind of wait it out and hope that the boar passes the camp.
All right, so you're kind of readying yourself. You're looking for food, which might be attracting it, but more or less kind of like trying to hold yourself at the ready. Is that kind of what I gathered there?
Yeah, so he would kind of like he'd have like maybe loaded a bolt into his crossbow and kind of had that in one hand, and then with the other hand trying to maybe like pull like over a tarp or something, or like with the food, and then kind of sort of doing that almost like kind of while he's also looking out, kind of out into uh the jungle, trying to see if he catches sight of it. It might be too much for him to do all at once, but
Alrighty. Let's see. So, as you start to ready with your bolt, more or less the food you guys have out and about is already in the barrels, and essentially, you've kind of resealed those for the time being. Like the food has 24 hours of freshness, that's sealed. So there's some level of, sure, something might be able to smell the food. There's not much else you can do for it. So that's kind of like just an initial thought, and then you're quickly preparing the actual bolt and looking around. So in the actual moment, let me have you roll a dexterity check, and you can add proficiency bonus. You can add proficiency if you have perception as a proficiency. And I think you do.
I don't actually for perception, so it would just be that 22.
Oh, my bad. I looked at killing. My bad. This is Jarek. Gotcha. So yeah, just do a dexterity check for me.
Yep, I rolled.
Yeah, so as you look around, you very quickly do recognize that the sound is increasing from the southeast. Still sounds like one hog, one boar, but the actual footsteps are building, and there's a lot more creatures than what is making noise right now. Roll an insight. You no longer think that this thing is being warned. Like the warning is no longer in your mind that this is a like flock of birds making noise because a boar is in the area. You're starting to recognize the birds are hunting this boar. The boar is fleeing for its life, and it is coming towards you. What are you doing?
Yeah, so Jarrett's gonna let out a curse under his breath, and then he's going to um he's gonna move to the closest person, and he's gonna try and wake up the others, because he feels like this board's leading something bad right towards us.
Alrighty. So, who are you going to wake first? What are your thoughts?
I don't know how we were kind of probably whoever was in his tent. So I guess that would be Zeros, assuming that the sidekicks and the main people are um, sharing a tent, and then he would maybe shout towards the next closest tent, which we'll say would be um, Valdis, and trying to rouse them by kind of shouting for them to wake up.
All right,
So
do a
like,
performance. Well done. So yeah, you are able to rouse Zeros quite quickly. He's quickly up and to, and as you start to yell out to everyone to get attention, what are you saying to everybody as you kind of hear the sounds? Effectively, the way I'm thinking about these tents is actually that they are much more of essentially like a tarp, so you are able to create a tented space And depending on how everything goes, you're more or less able to make different tarps. So I'm kind of assuming it's more like these are open, like roofs that everybody is sleeping under 2x2, and more or less that you were just under the extra one. So at this point, I'm actually kind of thinking it as like Eku and Zeros were likely sleeping together. Um, but otherwise, yeah, like in general, I would say you guys are like your main sleep will be with the other person, with your partner. But you were able to get Zeros up quite quickly as you holler for everybody else. Everybody else rouses, and you can immediately see this. That was what I was getting at with the idea that they're not like modern tents how we envision them, where you're unzipping something. You can see under the actual like roof of the tent.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, so he would be shouting something like up, up, trouble incoming.
So around when you say that is the first time that you're going to see the boar. So as you're kind of like hollering for everyone and kind of rousing Zeros with your like actually like a hand on his shoulder, as you're saying that, you're seeing in your foreground everybody starting to actually move and come to and off. Probably realistically, you can't even see that far. None of you really have dark vision here. Yeah, so it's going to be a sound that's kind of telling you the boar is probably about 60 feet southwest of you all. And the forest all around the boar, like northwest of it, west, southwest of it, southeast of it, the forest is alive. Where you hear this thing coming, the forest is moving all around this creature. So you guys can see the boar there. You almost like hear sounds of these birds and the forest just surrounding it right now. So you guys have another few moments to make a quick decision here. What is your initial thoughts as this boar? We're basically about to go into initiative here, as you guys will pretty much be moving with whatever is going on, and we'll see how you guys react.
Yeah, so Jarek would he would, as he's shouting, he'd be pointing in the direction that he thinks the boar is coming, and he'd be like, move, move, trying to like, essentially trying to like split the camp, some to the left, some to the right, essentially, so that it doesn't trample over us as it's coming.
All right, so you want to kind of split everybody and see if you can get the boar to run through.
Yeah, that's his idea, and then given that he thinks that it's something chasing it, he's more worried about them, but he wants to get out of the way so that because he figures the boar will just it's not going to stop.
Doing that, you may lose some of your tents. I'll give you that kind of idea right offhand. If you're going to try to split the people away, you guys may lose gear as this thing runs through your camp. Because like if you guys split to save like your personal bodies, you're going to be leaving behind your actual equipment.
Okay, that's a good point.
And it will almost incline the creature even more to basically see like a trident, like run over your shit or try to run around you. But the most direct route will be basically like you're almost creating like a valley where the party would be like the like walls of a valley that are obstacles that will center it through your camp pretty much.
Okay, so maybe instead of that, he'll suggest a couple like people move forward and maybe try and essentially make a try and scare the boar into changing direction, almost kind of like you know turning it away from the camp.
Gotcha. So yeah, let me have you and Zeros roll initiative. I guess roll for yourself and then roll a d20 for. Oh no, Zeros is just going to follow you. And then Chris, let me have you roll initiative, and I will roll for Island. Which one's Island? Indiana Jones. Alrighty, so take your movement, Jarek. Would you like to move? And then immediately following you, you can move with Zeros as well.
Okay, yeah. So Jarek could move like gonna move here. He's going to. Can he see the boar from about 20 feet?
Let me check the map real quick for a date. Actually, I have that in my notes. Myrtle 17th. Roll a perception check. DC 10. Yes. No, from there, you're still just hearing it.
Okay, so I think I'm going to move here. I'm going to hold and I don't know if I actually want to try and hit the boar, but I almost kind of want to fire like a warning shot right at it. But I don't think I can really do that. So I'll just say I'm going to hold my attack, and I'm going to fire in the boar's direction. Um, or I'll fire at the first thing essentially that comes into view of me from my southwest with my crossbow.
Gotcha.
And I think Zeros is going to move. He'll kind of move over here, and he will. He's going to take the dodge action if he can.
You know what? Let me change this a little bit because I did skip a creature that actually would come up before you. And I think you still won't be able to see what's happening here, but perhaps you'll choose to fire at disadvantage even though you can't see it. And perhaps it'll give you more information. So I'm sorry. Let's kind of retcon what you're about to do here.
Okay, no problem.
So from out of the bushes, this like cackling of birds and this like constant chirping is all of a sudden going to be accompanied by, again, like the forest itself is like rustling with this movement, and all of a sudden you are going to hear kind of a roar from the boar as a creature seems to be essentially like tackling into it.
Okay, so hearing this, I might trying to like essentially go by the noise. I am going to fire um fire at that area.
Yeah, so give me another second because I am going to end up doing this in front of you, and we'll kind of see what happens here because it may actually still kill the boar anyways. That's why I was saying I feel like this is one of those things where let me give you the full happening before you actually make a decision.
Okay.
All right. Yep. I had one on Whisper, the second attack. So yeah, it's gonna leap into it. I guess really you don't see it, so there's not a big reason to describe it. But you're gonna hear like two shrieks from the boar, and kind of like a little bit of a rumble, You still had that incredible insight check, so I'm kind of saying you're still kind of picking up like something just leapt out of the woods and essentially has tackled the boar. Um, Still sounds about the size of a boar kind of rolling around at that point. Um, and then you're going to hear silence besides the cackle of the birds. So with that, it would then be your turn to make a decision what you would like to do.
Okay, so after hearing kind of like the squeal of the boar and hearing it go silent, was I able to sense what it seemed like there were multiple creatures kind of converging on this boar, right? From
Yep,
different.
yep. I think I drew it on the right layer, but you guys see a big, yeah, yeah. That
Yep.
orange loop, that's kind of where the sounds were coming from. So the one creature that you have already in this is part of why combat's weird. The same 6 seconds is all the same 6 seconds, regardless of the initiative order. But that creature is just one of the creatures that you're hearing in that loop.
Okay, yeah. So I think I'm going to, as I hear this going on, I'm essentially going to kind of like try and focus on, where I think the noise is, the noise directly, from my where the boar was, and I'm just going to go ahead and fire my crossbow. I guess technically it would be at um the other thing.
Yep. So I started actually putting their numbers underneath them, so you can fire at 4 at disadvantage. And this is
Oh, okay.
essentially just a shot into the dark. And it's essentially trying to take a shot based on your hearing. Uh, Take a shot. You hear the sound of it whipping through branches and through leaves. There's no solid hit that tells you that bolt actually connected with something. Um, Cross off that crossbow bolt or delete one at this point. And then again, you'll be back to Zeros, and he kind of has that same chance right now. Essentially, at disadvantage, he can take a shot for this bird creature.
It'll be 11 plus whatever his.
Yeah, I think they have +6 on their attacks, so that's definitely going to be a solid hit. And I think it's a D10. My bad. I think I said it wrong the last time. It's a D10 for. Um, we can just call that a tenor, though. 9 works.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, he did say D10 last time. I just forgot.
Oh, it was one of the things that I was trying to think of. I'm like, I don't really like warlocks personally, but I was like thinking about it. I'm like, damn, I feel like warlocks are a D10, and I'm not sure if I said D8 or D10 for him. So yeah, let's see. After Yarek, pop over. Yeah, it's going to be Valdis. What would you like to do, Valdis? And then with Taryn as well. Oh shit, I forgot. Who's going to have a 12?
Well, this is gonna step up a little bit. And just for safety, I'm gonna cast Heroism on Yarek.
Your spellcasting ability modifier is a +3.
Yep, +3. I was just checking that. So yeah, 3 extra hit points. Oh, temporary hit points.
Okay, thank you.
And what would Taryn like to do?
Terran would like to move up just a little bit. But otherwise, I think he's just gonna stay back for now until they see what's happening.
So are you holding an action?
No, he's. I don't even know what he can hold for now. I mean,
Um, it might change your idea. I should have done Eku before you as well. So Eku's gonna run up and she's going to light up um Jarek at this point.
so if she does that, what do we see then?
So at that point, that is your bright light, which the creature that has taken the boar down is effectively a little bit smaller than the boar. It is still, for all intents and purposes, a medium creature, but you all see this creature probably about like two of your fists together, making up kind of the cranium of the skull. A large maw that is about the size of like another fist, kind of in front of it, and it is currently tearing into the flesh of the boar that it's basically tackled and on top of. Massive hindquarters. Its legs are much stronger in the rear than its front, and you all see a tail that is approximately the size of the rest of the creature. That kind of seems to be keeping it balanced as it basically stands atop the boar and is feeding on it. And then with lights in the area, you're basically seeing that there's a creature here, there's creatures there, and creatures there. Like that's where you're actively seeing the forest moving as kind of a dim light kind of starts to extend off into these areas.
Okay, just a quick question. When we were speaking with AQ about like the sort of rules of engagement and stuff, did she mention whether animals were also subject to her no kill policy?
I don't think you guys will really have a sense of this.
Got it. Okay, I wasn't. Yeah, I don't think it's something we would have thought to ask, or Jarek wouldn't have thought to ask it. So
Let me think though. She is taking a moment. Um, yeah, I don't think she's. I feel like you'll be moving forward, and as she puts a hand on your shoulder, you'll hear kind of a whisper from her, feel yourselves. So with that, I'd say you guys have a pretty good sense that probably animals are not a part of this. If the dinosaurs of this land think to eat you, they're going to try to eat you. And that's not necessarily what she's looking for.
okay, got it.
Well, knowing that there's more creatures out, Terran would probably walk up to Steros and like hold an attack, or if they come near.
Hold the attack for if what?
Hold the attack for if one of the creatures comes near them.
What is near?
Like yeah, like 5 feet in front of them,
All
like
right,
that.
if something walks into melee.
He think he only has daggers, right? Or am I wrong? I mean, the signature attack is only a melee attack, so
Yeah, at this point, yep, he is a melee only creature.
yeah. So holding attack for if they get within melee range.
Yeah, I think the next creature is going to. I rolled a 1 for how it's reacting to this. I feel like that means it is charging directly into you, and responding to the what it feels like is more prey. Is it just me, or is it between spaces?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
looks like it's on half in one, half in the other.
Oh, it's because I'm pressing Alt. There we go. So yeah, it's just going to charge up and kind of just around the bore. It's not going to slow down at all. And as it kind of enters into the light, you're going to see as it moves just over the bore. And immediately after getting to the bore, it's just going to leap in the air as both of its claws come forward in front of its body. It's going to make 2 claw attacks at you. 16 a hit.
Yes, that'll hit.
And then the 13 is a big ol' miss. So it's going to get 1 claw into you, so I need you to make a strength saving throw. DC 12, so you are able to maintain yourself on your feet. And then it's going to bite at you as well. So that'll be the bite, which should be another hit. So it's going to do a total of 12 slashing, or 6 slashing and 6 piercing to you as it leaps into you.
Okay, that temp hit points came in very handy there.
Technically, you don't get that yet.
Oh, then I'm down.
Yeah, it's on each of your turns at the start of them.
Oh, yep. Okay. Yeah, you said so 12 altogether. Yeah, that knocks me down.
Should I pick you up?
What up, Larry?
Hey guys,
Hey,
what
Larry.
yeah.
kind of
Hello.
troubles you get into without me?
Yeah, we're in a bit of trouble. I think this is the third or fourth time Jarek's gone down so far. Not today, between last session and this session.
So before we actually catch you up into this, we're going to be switching up inspiration here. So each time you gain inspiration is going to be a point of inspiration, and you can manipulate dice using your inspiration. Plus or minus, depending on what you're trying to affect. You can add pluses to your dice, you can add minuses to my dice, kind of thing. Do you want to tell a story with the story dice about Island?
No, I'm good. I'm not ready.
Gotcha. So, last session, just real quick kind of rundown of it. Um,
I read your notes in the
gotcha.
thing, so
I feel like that's probably pretty solid. I don't know if there's a whole lot of extra stuff there. I think the big takeaway is that you guys have to basically be a good aligned group or you're going to lose her. That's the big takeaway. But effectively, we are, was it 2 hours past where the ghoul fight was? And we're basically just inside of the start of some birds seem to be warning of a boar in the area. When the boar got closer, Jarek was able to recognize that the birds were in fact herding slash hunting the boar, and you guys have basically now witnessed as one of these creatures has slain the boar kind of just outside of your camp, and in particular now the next creature to kind of leap out of the forest has just kind of leapt claw first into Jarek and dropped him. So that kind of catches you up. I think you're about to be next up in initiative order. So as you look ahead of you here, you see Jarek is now going to be downed. There is a creature, probably about like a 60-pound creature, with massive legs, tiny little front paws, big old skull the size of like two fists, and kind of a maw the size of like another fist, and its tail kind of hanging off about the same length as the rest of its body. And that creature is basically tackled on top of Jarek. Um, what's your main weapon with Jarek? Use swords.
Yeah, but at this point I had my crossbow out, so that would have dropped. I have a quick question, actually. So the bite attack happens regardless of whether he gets knocked down by the leap, right?
Yeah, if it knocks you over, it gets an extra bite attack.
Okay, just okay. But yeah, he had his crossbow out. But normally he wields two swords, one scimitar and one short sword.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I think at that point we've lit up your actual. I think you're wearing studded leather armor. So that box around him right now, that is the box of light of basically studded leather. But other than that, it is up on your turn here, Island.
huh, okay. Well, I think I gotta get over and I gotta get Jarek back up.
Oh, you did use the healing function of the healer's kit on me already since our last rest, so you can't use that again. Just FYI.
All right, well, how about just let's look if I have many spell slots right now.
Yeah, I think you're probably limited to getting him up at 1 hit point with the actual healer's kit.
Okay, so that's what we'll do. Let's see, do I have, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna rush over there, do that. Do I have to, do you need anything, or can we just say that it happened?
Yeah, realistically on that one, you're just going to bring him up at 1. I think I have under the notes for your healer's kit that one of them is at 9 uses. So just make sure to mark it down to 8 uses in the notes.
Got it.
And then other than that, I think that's your action. Do you have
Yeah.
any bonus?
Yeah, I don't. Wish I thought about that a little bit better, but I don't have anything that I can do.
And then, so after your turn, it's going to go to Killen. As far as things go, he's, I think, the only character in your group who cannot wear his armor at this point. But other than that, he's still a staunch fighter. So you can bring him into the battle and effectively take a turn with him.
Cool. I don't know. I think that he's this black token, right?
No, he's the white background one. I think that's the one you made for him. Right? Zeros is the black guy?
Yep, the guy with the hood and kind of looking down. Yeah, right above.
That's all
Oh,
Warlock
yeah, yeah.
should be.
Sorry, he's
He
way over
looks-
there. Got it. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Okay, so he's going to attack this creature.
So yeah, just roll a d20. You got a +6, and I think you do 2d8 +4 or +2. Solid hits. Solid strike across the creature, and just kind of like, what is that, a slashing weapon? So there's just like a massive cut down this creature's flank. And it's gonna go to the other creatures right now. Yeah, and just as an explanation, those circles were really just kind of saying this is where you guys hear like the rustling of the jungle.
Oh, now we see it.
Yeah, they're about to run into. Another of these creatures is going to run out of the forest, and it is going to leap at Island. So first attack. And then the second claw. Both of those are going to miss, and then it's going to try to bite you. Also a big ol' miss. And it's gonna go to the initial creature. And it as well is going to run off. So 3 of these creatures have effectively run off with the kill. And 2 of them are still inside the combat with you all battling. Jarek, it is on you. So now you are at 4 hit points, 3 of those being the temporary from heroism.
Okay, so is this thing on top of me, or just kind of it knocked me down and now it's beside me?
Technically a medium creature, so it can't be in the same space as you. You are effectively prone, and it's feeding on you from beside you.
Okay, yeah. So I'm going to stand to my feet to draw out my scimitar and slash at this thing that just took a big chunk out of me.
Solid strike. That is definitely going to bloody it as you basically strike into the wound that Killen just kind of left behind, and you've like cut down into its rib cage.
Okay, and I'm going to. Yeah, he's gonna kind of like give a thankful nod towards Island, and he's gonna stand his ground here, and then Zeros is going to uh move a bit and fire an Eldritch Blast at the same one.
14's a hit. Need like anything but a 1 to kill. Let's see.
Glancing blow. Singe its tail a bit.
Yeah, so it's still looking rough, but it's still essentially in the bloodied condition. And it's gonna go to Echo. I was just a general feeler to see whether I use 2 or 3. She's gonna put 1 more cure wounds into you. So roll another d8, add +5. So you can take 12 more. I think you should be up to full again, and you still have those 3 temporaries now.
Yep. Thanks.
Do I have this heroism thing too, or is it just on?
It's
I'm
Justin?
pretty sure it's in particular on Justin or on
Okay.
Derek.
Got it.
But it is now on you, Valdis.
Val's gonna step up and take a poke at the bloody dinosaur. The one that hit Jarek. That's not good.
As it's like reacting to him slashing at him, you just like strike right where it was, and it just glances past the creature. Any bonus from you? Otherwise, bring Taryn in for the kill.
Terran goes in for the kill. Hopefully better than me. Let's see.
That's crazy that he doesn't have a built-in sneak attack. 14 to 20 is definitely a hit. Those guys are going to balance out so hard as you actually level. This is absurd right now. Dealing 9. Yeah, that's going to be a kill. And that should be the end of your turn. That was the creature that was up next, so it will be Island. Basically have the one south of you, and it's just going to be you, and then you're back up to get it killed.
Okay, I think I'm gonna cast Sacred Flame.
No damage, as it just kind of dodges out of the way.
I'm gonna hold my ground, and then my guy will jump in, attack, die 20 plus. I don't remember what you told me, but
+6. Big ol' miss. It is going to start to flee. So the three of you, does Island carry a melee weapon?
yeah, he's got a.
Oh, yeah, the three of you are going to have opportunity attacks as it steps out of combat.
Cool.
So you only need to deal 26 damage. No, 28 damage with your mercenary. I think that creature got away.
Yeah, it would have to be a crit for like max damage almost.
Yeah. Because what is it? The crit would basically be able to be like one off max. Needs to deal 26 hard. Yep. So it's just going to leave it wounded regardless, as it basically flees. On some level, you guys gain that perception. These creatures are predators. Whatever reason they ran forward and attacked as is, Jarek, was like purely a reaction of bloodlust. Oh, it wasn't even Jarek. My bad. That was actually Valdis who's next to it. But you guys actually got that, so excellent.
Let me ask Aku what that was.
As far as things go, I don't think most of these. I don't see a big reason for any of the dinosaurs to really have like known names, perhaps. But you kind of just get a response there, just kind of like ambush predators.
That was a dinosaur.
Oh yeah. These are 100% dinosaurs. But these are basically like tiny little velociraptors.
Got it.
But I'm not entirely sure like what level. I think it's kind of weird that they have dinosaurs in Chult at all, let alone the world. But I feel like on some level it's one of those things where they have names. I don't think there's any reason that they have our names for dinosaurs, because these things are basically called with a modern. They are Dionyicus. 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 They're fucking ambush predators.
Got it.
So yeah, 4 of them fled. 1 of them was slain. So you guys do have meat in front of you right now. If you are looking to save some steak, don't think you have fire. It is still raining, so you don't really have a source of lighting a fire right now. So maybe it is not useful for you. But other than that, it is right about dawn, and you all have still not been able to sleep.
At the very least, maybe we could, if more of those creatures come, we could always toss the carcass and try to. It seems they're. I don't know. Maybe we could get them distracted or something.
I think that's the general location we had your camp at, just as an arbitrary thing. But yeah, you want to drag the carcass into camp, and then if anything else comes, you'll try to like kind of toss it as an offering, kind of thing.
Yeah. Seeing how like a few of them dragged away the boar carcass, it seems like they're interested in meat. So if we give them meat, they don't particularly want us if we can essentially satiate them with something else.
Gotcha. So you guys are kind of right back around to the opposite idea. You put 2 hours of watch into it, but you absolutely need to start to sleep with Yarek. So he will probably be like the final watch at this point. But if you guys are trying to take a long rest and actually get it done, you're basically looking to start resting again here.
Yeah, if we're gonna start resting, Valdis can take first watch.
Yeah, Jarek's definitely breathing heavily. He's been knocked down and out a bunch of times, so he's pretty exhausted at this point and bloody, and yeah, he's had a rough day.
I'll take a watch.
Yeah, effectively, as far as like the mercs go, like they are kind of just like assisting your actual characters, is how we'll play this. So you guys on some level have kind of advantage on these watches, and then you can have Aku do the 4th watch as long as you guys are 3 players here. But that's going to be one of the effects of like your side characters can't just take a watch for you. But you can do a perception check for me, Chris, as you take the first watch here. So let's see. Rains are still going hard. There's a constant downpour still. Overall, you pick up a pretty solid like attention. Yarek will go out after a little bit. And you're kind of just listening to everything. Everything seems all right. And then after a little bit, your conversation. It's not uncommon. Footsteps. Let me get an insight check from you. Solid. Yeah, there's probably 4 people walking in the forest. They are coming from the northeast of you all. Potentially, essentially, like you guys are still landed on that kind of shore. So potentially somebody who's like just landed in the Bay of Chult and is in that same block you guys are kind of in. What would Valdis do?
Uh, like they were coming towards us.
Yep, they're walking in that area, just to the northeast of you all.
Then probably just sit like a bit more attention, keeping an eye out in that direction, but not waking anyone up or anything yet, but paying more attention towards those sounds.
So a few moments go by before you hear the conversation cease. Probably about 30 or 40 feet away from your camp, and it goes quiet. Still to the northeast of you is the last sound you heard. You're more or less like staring in that direction right now, and it seems silent.
Yeah, I was thinking this jungle is pretty dangerous. It's shown that so far, but it's gonna hold for the moment. Like if they come near, or if I starts hearing them again, then maybe he'll do something. But for the moment, just holding.
So about 5 or so minutes go by. You're just kind of silently staring off into the direction of the northeast. And then after a few moments, you see out of the brush a young woman, maybe about 25, 30 years old, kind of steps out, and she's just like fully in front of you. Initial view, you're going to see somebody who is not wearing traditional clothes. The clothing that she is wearing are essentially like large jungle leaves. You can see they are woven together. Like her skirt is kind of like made out of like frond leaves, where there's like almost like a basket weave, and it makes like a skirt around like her upper legs, and basically kind of like has leaves kind of woven in a similar way around her chest. Her hair is almost entirely covered by like a spiky woven hat of leaves that kind of spike off in all directions. And very quickly you realize as this person steps out effectively 10 feet away from you, she's inside of your party's like zone, and you recognize quite quickly why you never saw her is because she looks like a part of the jungle. And as she kind of steps out, she's going to be immediately in eye contact with you. It's quite clear that you were the one on watch. And she bows her head, keeping eye contact with you, as just her head kind of bows like just a few inches, just a little bit of like a 5 degree or so nod. Hello there.
Baldas will like repeat the nod and then go, "Yeah, hi there."
Gonna look around your group. What are your intentions in the jungle?
Well, so far we're exploring, and well, to be honest, first day, it's trying to survive right now at the moment.
What are you exploring?
Well, for well, I guess anything right now. We're going. I don't know. not really sure where we're going right now. Got the name of the place, but going further.
You said you forgot the name?
Yeah.
Roll an intelligence. You did indeed forget the name. So she kind of looks around. Where do you come from?
Oh, I come from Waterdeep. Well, originally we just came from what's it called, the Portney and
See, like, a face of confusion quickly turned to recognition. And you can pretty well guess this person might not actually know what Waterdeep is, but Port Nyanzaru definitely makes sense to her. Is it your intention to kill all the creatures of the jungle you come upon?
Oh, definitely not. So far, the only thing we kill is the things trying to kill us. Otherwise, we're not probably not gonna try to attack anything that's not attacking us.
If you are inside of their hunting ground, is it not natural that they attack and feed where their prey sleeps? As she looks towards the creature that you guys have slain in camp with you.
Well, yeah, that's probably natural for them, but it's pretty darn natural for us to defend ourselves too if we're being attacked. Maybe most animals defend themselves from being attacked.
Perhaps you belong where you came from and should not be here if it is your intention to kill things simply for following their natural order.
Well, I mean, if I can find a way not to kill them, that would probably be better. Do you have any tips for that?
Don't sleep where they hunt.
And how would we know where they hunt? Are there, like, markings?
The jungles. It is their home.
So don't sleep in the jungle.
Yeah, you're going to pretty quickly recognize that this person doesn't feel for you if you get attacked by dinosaurs. Is she your prisoner? And she's going to nod towards Eku.
Oh no, no, definitely not. She's our guide. She, well, she guides us.
She just slowly looks around the camp. Food? Water? And she'll nod towards the barrels. May I?
Sure.
So she's just gonna move over, and once you kind of like accept it, she just pops open the barrel full of. I don't think we ever talked about whatever was made. But she's just gonna like, I don't know, grab like a handful of. Let's call it a stew, and she just dips her hand right in, uh, and she's gonna like go over to the one filled with water, and kind of yeah, I think she'll dip a hand in and then kind of put it on a leaf, and then she's just gonna go back over to the other one and dip a leaf in, and kind of just like pick out like a little bit of food and a little bit of water, and then she's just gonna sit down and camp with you all, and just continue to kind of stare at you for a while. But in silence, she kind of just stares, and she just nibbles, and she just sips.
As she does that, Val's gonna go, oh, and by the way, what's your name?
She looks at you a little confused for a moment. And she kind of looks around. River Snake.
Okay, that's a cool ass name.
And she kind of nods to you. And your name?
Oh, well, that's it. Valdez.
My apologies. I must have missed it. I was mistaken.
Oh, no worries. I tend to speak pretty fast sometimes, so maybe you missed it then.
So, effectively, at this point, if you are somewhat accepting of this person who's just inside of your camp, eating your food and kind of just relaxing and sitting with everybody, she is just going to kind of continue to do so.
Well, she hasn't seen overtly hostile yet, so far so good.
So, do another perception check. This one's 100% at advantage. So, next hour goes by. Still no rain, or still hard rain. Everything seems pretty good, and she's more or less just attentively just kind of sitting there. Every once in a while, you do pick up she's doing some sort of prayer. She's humming on some level. Depending on your interest, you are welcome to do a religion check if you think Valdis would do so. Otherwise, like for a lot of people, it would just sound like almost like there's like a whistle to how she's breathing.
Is there like a melody to it, or it's just like slight whistle?
I think with that perception, you're not really going to pick up a necessary melody to it or like any specific like chain to it. Kind of with that level, you're just kind of picking up little bits of noise. What I mean is almost like when somebody's like breathing through their nose and their nose is whistling, a lot of people might mistake it for that over the other sounds of the jungle kind of thing.
Then he probably wouldn't pay too much attention.
Gotcha. So after your hour, I think you're going to wake up. I think Eku would. No, wait, no. Burke said he would. Larry said he would take one, so we'll do him next.
Sure.
Yep. Wake up, alien, and
You're gonna,
introduce him to
you
River.
introduce me. I wake up and I'm like, you gonna introduce me to your friend?
Yeah, sure. She came here. Never watched. She's nice.
Yeah. What's her name?
River Snake.
River Snake. That's a nice name, I suppose. She's praying or something. Seems like.
Is she?
You can do a religion check as you're kind of woken up because yeah, she doesn't really change what she's doing here. And your goddess Saloon. I don't know if
Yep.
Saloon has a particular affinity with who she's speaking with. As far as I know, um, there's really only one of you who has a particular attachment there. But as you kind of listen to her prayers, most of it's not necessarily in the language that you speak, so it's not particularly picking up. The Elvish that you speak is close to what she is using, but it's not the same structure, so you're almost picking up little bits of words. As you start to decipher it, she is praying to essentially a nature goddess of the fall, nature goddess of hunters and kind of like forest folk and druids. And eventually you kind of plug in the name Maliki. But overall, I'm not entirely sure how much you would really know about Maliki because, again, there's not like a particular affinity between Saloon, but I do think it's somewhat close because you are both kind of like on the more like natural order of the kind of seasons almost. Um, but in general, um, you're just gaining a sense of this person who is pretty nonchalantly just relaxing inside of your group right now as these rains fall.
All right, I'm going to keep an eye on her, but also do my job on watch. So I'm non-threatening if she comes out of it, but paying attention. You want some
So I
perceptions?
can, jump into a perception here. So as you sit down and start to keep watch, you very quickly notice that she has friends with her, and there are 3 other women who are standing guard over your camp just inside of the forest, and also feet away from all of you. And they're all clad in leaves. None of them, again, are wearing like any sort of traditional clothing. They are all very much just very natural in how they just blend into the forest around you. And they seem to be, like, as far as I think things, you could almost describe it as they are basically wearing um, ghillie suits, where their clothing is just woven with the trees and the leaves from the jungle immediately around you all. And as you sit watch here, all 4 of them are just completely still. The 3 keeping guard, you can, over time, pick up that all of them have bows in hand. They have 3 arrows in their bow hand, none actually across the actual string, but it's one of those things, probably pretty quick on the draw regardless. They're not overtly hostile, and you can probably gain some sense that they've been guarding their friend as she stepped into your camp. Um, and other than that, if you'd like to do anything to speak with River Snake, you can. Otherwise, if you're ready to kind of just relax with them, you can do another perception check for the next hour.
I think that's what I'll do. I don't want to interrupt her.
So I think this is around where the rain is going to break. I have 4 till 10 a.m. I think it's 3:30, so 4:30, 5:30, 6, 7, 9. Yeah, so at the end of your watch, it's kind of going to break as you're trying to go to sleep. So it is really still a heavy rain here. Otherwise, nothing seems to really happen. There's no big change with the actual watch here. But when you are ready, you can wake up Eku.
All right, I'm going to wake up Echo gently and sort of point out our friends.
So, uh, yeah, when she wakes up, she's going to nod to her and you'll hear her speak in a language that you don't understand, but is otherwise still like some sort of derivative of Elvish. You pick up little bits of it. She basically says hello. I think you would probably pick up like hello, friend, and basically understand that they're acquainted with each other. You can actually tell the difference in the moment you wake up Eku. She actually stirs from her prayer, and you see a river snake is essentially now, like, for however rude it might seem to be, she is now actually like engaged and waiting for Eku to be a little bit more conscious. And eventually, like as you go to sleep, she'll kind of like nod a good night's rest to you, and kind of just like sit there, and you'll hear little bits for the initial part of falling back asleep of Eku and her kind of whispering between each other. But other than that, you end up going to sleep as the last like trickles of the rain. Um, it breaks and starts to turn into just like a light drizzle. Um, the next bit of her watch is going to go by to where eventually, um, Yarek, it will be your watch. And on your watch, Eku is going to wake you, and she'll tell you, Yarek, if you would care to, you can sit watch. But you do not need to. Our friends will guard us through the day. And she will point out the four people who are basic. Well, actually, she'll probably point out River Snake, who's obviously inside of your group. And then the other three is more or less up to you. If you do a perception check, you might see them.
Okay, so Jarek will, after waking, and he'll after Echo explains that, he'll look at River Snake, and he'll kind of like, part of him doesn't like he trusts her when she says that that River Snake will keep watch. He's kind of curious about what's going on, but he's also like just dog tired, and he's gonna I think he's going to take the opportunity to essentially kind of grab a little extra rest. And he'll kind of like give like a nod towards River Snake, kind of maybe give a greeting, and then like to Echo, he'll say like, if if you trust them to keep watch, then I that is enough for me. And then he'll kind of just it's kind of settle back down.
Just because it's a sweet magical power that she has, and the moment you kind of say it like that, when you go to sleep, you are going to have extremely pleasant dreams. Roll a perception check for me. On occasion, you see Eku walking through your dreams, and when you do notice her, she kind of just nods to you and just kind of like whispers like a calming word to you. But otherwise, there's a certain level of you feel like she's manipulating your dreams. But this is like extreme vivid dreaming because she is basically using magic on you, to create a calming effect. What the spell is normally used for is it's actually like a secret way to communicate with somebody, but she's basically using it to kind of calm you from what has effectively been a pretty horrific night for Jarek. And like each of those whispers is kind of just something to the effect of like, enjoy your experience, have a good sleep, return, pay no attention to myself. So you can imagine that whatever it might be for Yarek to have essentially like the most wonderful vivid dream that he would like to have. But it's kind of one of those things that all you need to do is think about something and it's going to become reality inside of this dream. And that's kind of like your next 2 hours is that experience. Um, and I think on some level, I think I actually passed over the viability of this. But I think I'm gonna have River Snake cast Bonfire, and she's actually gonna start to cook up that dinosaur. So you guys can benefit from a long rest, and as you wake up, you guys have dinosaur barbecue for breakfast.
Awesome. Echo, your friends have definitely improved our camp.
It is a fortunate happenstance to come by them.
Well-
They are. She kind of like sets her head down, like in a thinking motion for a moment. Members of the Emerald Enclave, protectors of nature, and friends of mine from past expeditions. We've been able to help each other many times in the past.
What language do they speak?
And again, she's kind of going to take a moment to kind of find the words for it, but she'll eventually respond to you. Sylvan, it's more a language of the woods.
Yeah, it sounds a little elvish to me, but I only can pick out a few words.
They are indeed separations. One is perhaps more the language of the trees, and the other of the elves. It was the elves who taught the trees to speak.
I'm going to turn and bow to River Snake and her friends and say thank you in Elvish.
Yeah, and I think they would, in general, kind of respond in a pretty similar thing where they are almost able to speak the word as you know it, but effectively it's like a slightly different dialect.
Well, I'm kind of fascinated by them and want to know like where they come from and more about them, but I won't be overbearing.
Yeah, what are you asking them? What do you...
Well, do they have a village in the jungle? They live in the trees. How do you stay safe and survive here?
We are natural wanderers. The wilds are a part of our domain. For what it is worth, we move forward of predators to try to avoid them. And wherever possible, we try to remove the undead of the old one.
And are there many undead around where we are here? Because we certainly have an interest in them as well.
There is no lack of the undead in all of the lands of Chult. Though you are perhaps in a slightly safer space, things are not safe wherever you might go.
Well, and our goal is to sort out what this sort of disease that's happening from the old one that's killing our friend back in the city.
The curse from Omu. It is from beyond this place. A horrific creature. From the ethereal.
Is there more you can tell us about that creature? Like where we might find it?
Omu is a most sacred place. To go there is most certainly to court death. It is where the gods of this land were slain, and remain ever entombed.
And is that where the old one is based now?
The abomination of these lands arises from there. It is a very dangerous place. Many things make their homes in that location. Among them, this abomination that feeds on your curse, on your friends, on all of life in Taro.
You couldn't just mark that on my map, could you?
Roll a persuasion.
Did I persuade you, Mara?
Oh, I mean, I could send you guys to Omu, but I guarantee you're gonna die.
Don't send us there. I just want to see if we can maybe know where it is when we're ready to go there. Island's like completely interested in anything they can tell us. He wants to know everything about the place, the people, the dead, the ruins. He's very excited about his cartography skills, which I haven't used yet, but
I guess at some point too, Jarek would kind of like once there's an opening in this conversation, he'd ask whether if they're in their journeys they've happened to come across like almost like a metallic um like a construct, almost looks like a person, um and he would try to give them a general sense of essentially he's trying to ask them um if they might have happened across the Shield Guardian Vorn, but he'd try to describe it in more um, kind of like basic, I guess, terminology words, because he's not sure if they would know what a Shield Guardian is. And maybe once
So I think they are more or less going to seem to kind of ignore Island's question to mark out where Omu is. And they're going to start to actually question you a little bit more about like what you're kind of doing here. Just kind of inquiring with you. And when Jarek kind of asks that, they'll kind of prepare to respond to you. So at present, I think like their next question will be, what is your interest in these lands and exploring and trying to find these great temples? So they'll kind of pose that to Island as they kind of turn then towards Yarrick and River Snake will kind of look to you and we are well aware, and they will basically point almost cardinal direction southeast of you. Um, there are many Batiri between here and there, but we do know where this. I think again they're going to use the word abomination rests.
Well, that's where we're headed. We have a mission to find this, as my friend said, this construct, this magical sort of golem. It's the dwarves built, I believe.
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with this word, Batiri. Is that distance?
They are tiny creatures. And she'll look over to Echo and say something in Sylvan. And then after a moment, Echo will kind of nod up to you all. The Batiri are goblins. Small creatures come up from the land. These, in particular, live a different life in the jungle.
Jarek will nod his thanks to both Eku for kind of translating and to River Snake and kind of find that interesting. But he'll kind of given it's clear that it seems like Island is really fascinated. He'll kind of after he's asked his question, he'll kind of go back to you can see like he's much seems like he got a really good night's sleep and he's hungry, so he's kind of going to go back to chowing down on some of the dinosaur meat.
Derek, do the Batiri have Vorn's control amulet? Is that what we think?
Oh, I just wasn't sure what they were referring to. I had not heard that word before.
I'm going to turn back to River Snake and say that we're looking for Vorn. You heard of him?
No, that's what they're saying. They're saying that the goblins are in between where you are and where Vorn is.
Got it.
But again, they reference it as an abomination.
Is there a way to get there without going right through the goblins, without encountering them?
You can continue on with your canoes and venture in from there. It does not mean that you will not encounter them, though.
Okay. Best choice, though, is the canoes. Got it.
Derek's gonna kind of like mid bite, kind of think of something else to kind of swallow quickly, and may I ask, why do you refer to this as an abomination?
Um, I think Eku will probably answer that one for you, as she kind of looks at you and most all things of your creation are an abomination to the Emerald Enclave.
Derek will kind of raise an eyebrow and then nod again and once more go back to eating.
And I think eventually you'll kind of have River Snake kind of turn to you and she'll kind of slowly watching you eat. The natural order. The predator eats the prey and makes life with the prey. And eventually a larger predator will take the prey and eat it and make life. And even the largest of creatures will eventually fall and feed the trees. And the trees feed and give life. And she basically describes like a circle of life. And then she'll eventually kind of draw off in the conversation. This creature Vorn you speak of stands vigil, motionless, for many lifetimes. An abomination.
Jericho kind of nod, kind of thinking maybe he kind of understands. It's the unnatural.
Do we have a pretty good location on Vorn? Because it seems like they know where he is.
My bad, there was no reason to have you guys on that like map for while you're like sitting around in the conversation. Um as well as I'm like drawing on the big map here.
Got it.
But yeah, this is kind of what you guys have filled in within general what you know right now. So just as a pickup on some level, you had mentioned previously that you had an interest in Camp Righteous and Camp Vengeance. When that was brought up to Eku, that's when she started to insist on Mabala either being the prime directive, if you guys just hired her, or just a priority if you made her a partner. So that three course line is in general, as I understood, the course of what you guys are moving forward towards. But Vorn is close by. It's, what is that, about 30 miles away from Camp Vengeance, or 40 miles away from Camp Vengeance. Um, and then basically that general area is kind of what they point to and warn you. There's Batiri here, but realistically, among the things that they're going to warn you is, effectively these goblins live in the forest and they are relatively nomadic. So there's not really any given like this is where they live. It's kind of where the goblins are right now. And it's in the same way as, pretty much anywhere you go in the forest. Watch out for goblins, watch out for dinosaurs, and watch out for the undead.
Yeah, and I think Larry, I think the idea that Valdis and Jarek had come up with was essentially heading down towards Mbala first, and then to help deal with the thing for Eku, and then from there cutting back north towards Vorn. Obviously, open for discussion. But that was kind of the idea that I think we had come up with for like a or direction.
Yeah, is she a partner then?
Yeah, because we didn't have enough money to buy everything we needed and pay her fee, and so the way we kind of got around that was by taking her on as a partner. She essentially waived the fee, or she paid it herself, and she is able to help with like the food and the water. So we just had to buy like the canoes and the tents and stuff. So that's why um, one of the reasons we made her a partner rather than just hiring her as like a daily guide.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's all makes tons of sense to me. So that's where we're headed. Great.
So essentially, at this point, if you all have any other interest in interacting with the Emerald Enclave here, you are more than welcome to. But otherwise, I think it's like 4:30 So it's like high noon when you guys are. It's a little bit past noon when you guys are waking up from this long rest kind of situation.
I'll just ask, is there anything that we can do for the Emerald Enclave?
We don't have any particular needs. We were more intrigued by the happenings of this last night. And while we appreciate your removal of the ghouls, we were hoping perhaps to try to redirect the other creatures, that they might be able to survive your wrath.
Great. We'll be getting back in our canoes, so hopefully that will keep things calm in the jungle.
We will endeavor to keep in mind the natural order, as you say.
So yeah, I think as you guys collect everything up, you can pretty much, when you are ready, get everything loaded to set off down the river. And I think in general, you're looking at about a like 1 p.m. start kind of thing. So you probably have like 6 to 8 hours that you could like go with light before you are eventually trying to make the decision on whether you try to push forward through the day. Speed wise, you guys can try to make 2 miles an hour, where you can basically make up to like with a full day, you can make up to 30 miles with 8 hours going into a little bit of darkness. You could possibly make, yeah, I mean, realistically, 5 hours will give you 10 miles, which is another square. You're looking at kind of 10 hours to make it 2 squares at a fast speed. So as you set off, what kind of speed do you think you'd like to try to take? And this is kind of one of those weird moments where you almost want to try to zoom in um, to get a good sense. It is really hard to see, in my opinion, the white hexes. But again, these are 10-mile hexes.
Well, if we, as long as we know the way we're going, I see no problem with trying to push a little harder, at least while we have daylight. Given we're getting a bit of an early start or late start.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm eager to get there and see Mabala.
Yep, I'm with that plan. Fast speed.
If you guys want to place yourselves in these canoes, I think basically you can only have you have 7 people and you can fit 6 people in the canoe. And don't forget to also, yeah, set your hired hands in there as well as Eku. I guess probably Eku would be in the front one.
I feel like you could kind of be at the front, kind of directing the keeping an eye out for. I don't know if they're what kind of like if there are any like rapids or anything like that. And then I figure Jarek would be one of the ones kind of rowing.
Now, pretty much on this river, it's like nearly stagnant. Going uphill or going upstream and downstream, there's not actually even a speed difference. And that's pretty much how you summarize this river's movement. Is it really doesn't exist.
Okay. Okay.
Alrighty. So, as things progress here, you all are paddling downriver, going pretty well for the first hour or so. Not really having any sort of issues to note. Most of the shores in this area are getting to the actual thick jungle, where there's a lot of like low brush growth around the actual edges of the water's edge. Every occasional bit of distance, you do see spots where you can actually kind of land in a little bit like softer gradient, um, like beach-like landings. A lot of it really does seem to be almost just like a ledge of water and then trees, and you can't really tell what might be there, aside from just like kind of trying to cut through things. But going seems to be good. Um, oh shit, I forgot to actually roll to see. I need everybody to do constitution checks to see if you guys got diseased in the night.
Poor Jarek.
Sweet, sweet diseases of Chult. Oh yeah, you guys are fucked. Did you actually get insect repellent though? Is that something
we
that you
did.
ended up affording?
Didn't we do?
Yeah, I think who said she could handle that. I think that was one of the things she said, like in addition to the food and water. Because we
But that's what
were
I mean. Did you guys purchase insect repellent? Yeah, you guys will also have to roll constitutions for your hired hands as well, so extra d20s for yourselves.
okay, yeah. So I have in my notes Eku was covered Jobel's fee, food, water, and repellent. So I don't think we bought any extra. We were originally, I think, gonna buy some like incense blocks, but we didn't end up doing that, I think.
Why didn't we end up doing that? Guess I was pretty sure we were supposed to do it at least. Calculation we did.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe I misunderstood and I thought that Eku was actually gonna supply the party with repellent because I think otherwise we would have bought some, but
Like you guys have coin and you chose not to?
like my notes have, so we bought the 2 canoes, the barrels, the healer's kit for Jarek, 3 tents, and then I think we had a little bit of gold left. I think you said the incense blocks were like we could have got I think a silver piece each, so we could have gotten 20, and those last for like 8 hours or something. I think we would have had enough coin to get some incense. But it wasn't 100% clear because, like, since Larry wasn't here, we didn't have the exactly idea of how much how much money we
Oh
had.
yeah, I don't remember what the question was for him about how updated his money situation was. But I think we did it with going on. You had you had spent. I think you had spent maybe like 30. I think you had like 21 gold on you, and that would have included spending part of the 50 that Sindra Sylvain gave you.
Yeah, I bought a bunch of armor, so mine was updated. Whatever, 6 gold pieces that I had.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think if I remember, we ended up having essentially enough gold so that each person had 6 gold and 7 silver left. So we would have enough to have bought repellent.
Yeah, so if you guys were thinking about buying repellent, that is fine. You should have. The repellent is she can cure the disease, but when 4 of you fail it, somebody's going to be suffering from the disease that day.
Okay, I misunderstood. I misunderstood that. Yeah.
So I would say in that regard, you all should purchase the repellent. And I don't like the online thing that I use got busted, which sucks because I own all of these sources multiple times over, but certain ones are so much better to deal with, and they've been getting busted for basically sharing copyright content. But I'm trying to actually find where the actual repellents were, and I don't see them offhand. But I feel like the incense block was one choice, and that basically protects the camp. And you kind of burn it for 8 hours at a time. And then the other one was for the actual like solve, and you would individually put them on, but it protects you for 24 hours at a time. And I think it was a silver for the incense block, and I think it was a gold for 20 uses of the cell.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe we each buy 2 repellents, one for us and one for our sidekicks, and that's 2 gold apiece. And then we have essentially 20 days worth for each of us. And then we could um maybe Jarek would buy a third one for Aku.
So if that sounds like a viable plan for everybody, yeah, you can essentially. I mean, I would say you guys might as well just take off 2 gold, 3 silver each, and you can buy 7 of the salves.
So did I get 2 repellents and 1 salve? Is that right?
No, like the repellent. It's whichever one you. I think you guys are picking up um, the repellent is the same thing. The salve just means you're putting it on your skin and you wear it for 24 hours at a time, versus the incense is the one that you just burn at night. Bam, 31. Yeah, block of incense was 1 silver, and yep, the salve was 5 gold. Or 1 gold.
The salve is 1 gold for 20 applications of odorless grease. 1 application protects the wearer for 24 hours. Does that sound right? That's what it pops up in
Yep.
D&D Beyond.
Oh, hell yeah, it's already in there. Fuck yeah.
Cool. Right. I'm going to use. So should I have used one last night? Sounds like I should have.
Yeah, basically, you guys will be doing 2 a day. And then for what it's worth, when you guys actually run out of those, let me know, and that's how we'll know that Aku is also out of those. So that saves you from the chances of picking up the mosquito disease, which was just a random thought. I feel like that's me with the mage, the chaos sorcerer. I'll randomly ask you to make the roll. So at this point, back to you guys traveling downriver. You are venturing down the river, just making a good pace, making good distance, and about I hate time in this game. You can see it's like afternoonish, couple hours into the actual venture of this. There is going to be a massive splash, and a creature is going to bite the rear of these boats. And as it bites into the boat, it is going to do a shitload of damage. As it bites a pretty massive chunk out of the back of the boat, and then is going to, you'll see as a massive scaled tail kind of reaches out and smacks towards the front of the boat, and it's going to try to rock the boat over as you guys are inside of it. Let me have the 3 of you. Was it 2 of you with your sidekicks in that one? Yeah, let me have Valdez and Island make strength saving throws. Alrighty, so here's what we're going to do. I'm actually going to reveal a little bit more of the map. I'm going to move you all a little bit down further so I can put this big ass creature behind you that is attacking the boat. And basically, from the front boat, you are just going to see as quite quickly everybody behind you is about to get ejected into the water. And I'm going to have you all roll initiative in a second. So we're going to put you there. Bring up the initiative counter there. And let me have you guys roll. Critting that initiative from the person not thrown into the water. Let me get animal handling from Valdez and Island.
Use my inspiration on that.
So this is the point where I was kind of getting at. We are going to switch over to to the other inspiration system. You are welcome to use that one to roll an extra d20 right now. But for now on, we are basically like that inspiration is just adding, um, depending on how many you have, like plus or minus one to a roll.
Got it. Okay, to the existing roll.
Yeah. So like at present, you can roll another d20 and add the 3 to it to check. But in the future, it's going to be like kind of also what we were talking about with Justin earlier is like if you think this is an important role, it's kind of the type of thing where like I need to hit. I may be using inspiration on this, so I'm not going to respond immediately whether something hits or misses.
Okay. Well, it got worse.
All right, yeah, I don't think either of you are really going to get a solid understanding for what just knocked you all out of the boat. But whatever it is strong as fuck, and you guys are in a dangerous situation. Yark, what are you doing?
Okay. So presumably I hear a splash and I look back and I see the boats being tipped over.
Yeah, it's like not even a splash. You hear a massive, like, um, cracking of wood, a huge, like, bludgeoning style, like, crash, and then, like, many bodies splashing into the water.
Okay, so he's gonna shout out, "Get to shore! Get to shore!" Don't know how actually far we are from there, uh, but given that he's at this point, presumably he's kind of like he's been rowing, so he's holding the oar. There's not really anything he can do immediately. He'll drop the oar. Let me draw out his weapon, scimitar, um, and kind of just be like scanning the water, but it's not really. He doesn't really think there's much more he can do at this point. Zeros, if he can see the tail and try to get a shot off at it, he would maybe try and do that with his Eldritch Blast.
Make a perception check. Just roll a d20. I feel like they say some things. Yeah, the alienist doesn't say a damn thing. He's got an investigation in religion. Um, yeah, I think by the time he scans back, he can't really see immediately, but you can hold his action to make an Eldritch Blast.
Okay, yeah, he'll do that then. He'll if the creature's like tail or something like something comes out of the water, he will fire at it. They're trying to buy time for the others to get to shore or something.
Um, yeah, I think the first thing that he's going to actually see as the water starts to churn around Killin, a bunch of fish are actually going to start to leap on and attack him. And I think that's going to provoke that attack from Island. So make a roll a d20 to shoot at them. 14 solid hit. Roll for damage. So that's one of those things where he's he's casting his spell, but he is by no means like as he like shoots at this thing attacking Killen, he also is recognizing that's not what fucking did this. Something else is in that water. And it's basically one of those things where it's like, shit, I just missed my chance. Um,
Yeah, it would have
So
hit
these
him
creatures-
like after he let it go. I'm like, oh, that's not what. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So these creatures are going to leap out at Killen. They will sink in for a hit, and they're going to do 14 damage. He has Constitution proficiency, so you are making simply a Constitution saving throw. I think he basically has a +4 to that roll. Your DC is 14, so you need a 10 plus right here. So yeah, with that, Killen is gonna go down, and basically be unconscious in the water as these fish are leaping out and swarm him. Alrighty, and then let's see, two more. What did I do for? He was two. Yeah, so two of them are going for Terra. I can't select the fish. All right, so another two are going to basically swarm where you will see the water like around the front boat starts to churn as just in a direct beeline they start to move towards the back boat as somebody falls into the water. You guys have pretty good understanding these things have probably been following you, and we're just waiting for somebody to kind of touch the water with flesh. And they are going to leap out. And the first set, 11, I think, misses. What's the AC on Terran?
13.
And then the second one are going to leap out at him. And that one should be able to get him. Same thing, it's going to be a DC 14 for him to remain conscious. I do not think he has Constitution, so his is probably going to be a 14 to save. So yeah, he is still good. And that's going to take us to Valdis. What are you thinking? All of this going on around you, it is definitely not the same creature that attacked you that are these things swarming your friends.
Well, first things first. Um, Kill it. I'm just thinking. Healing word. Can that get him up?
Most certainly.
Yeah, that healing word killing.
So effectively, they work on like kind of the same thing. Any amount of hit dice that you're healing, it's actually part of where I think these guys are a little bit broken. Any amount of hit dice that you're actually healing, those dice are basically one of their wounds. Right now, those guys only have one wound. So anything that gives them a die to roll is effectively healing them one of their wounds. So he will be essentially prone, but he's in the water. There's no difference on prone. Inside of the water, he is up and good.
And then, how far are we from shore, actually?
I think you are probably like 15 feet to be on dry land.
Then I would probably.
More or less, it's like 10 foot either way. It's straight up difficult terrain, regardless of what you're doing, though. So you basically have 15 feet is your maximum movement inside of here.
Yeah, Valdis is gonna do like the same as Jarkleos. Try to shout out like "Get to shore" and start swimming. That's 15, right? 5, 10, 15. Yeah.
But I feel like that's 20.
You mean the
Yeah,
other
that's
shore
good
is
enough.
15 feet away?
It's 5 for 1.
You're probably 10 feet from either of the shores, realistically, here.
So I could go, like here.
Oh, no, I think you were good on the first one. That was my bad.
Okay.
Yeah, you've got that space, I think.
Because I don't think I can fight well in water.
Oh, that's actually a good point. I don't know if you can go unprone from the swimming. That's kind of a craziness. But yeah, we'll go with the 15 as kind of the maximum movement you guys have here. But you will then have Terran as well to deal with.
Yeah. Can he? That's. I just feel like, how do you hit a fish in water with a dagger?
More or less, when you guys are outside of the water and you're trying to attack something that is coming up from the water, pretty much all you have is hold your action and react to it. And that's going to be one of those things. There's a lot of ambush attackers, and that's about how your only option comes to, is that reactive. So he's got that thought right now, but he's also in the water. So he can either dive under and try to fight them, or he needs to get to the shore as well.
I feel like, yeah, probably try to get to the shore. But yeah, this is gonna hurt. But he doesn't have disengage, so I'm guessing opportunity attacks.
Going for the famous split the party.
I'm trying. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I- I've done it now.
You're going for the right, though? That's what you're looking for?
Oh no, actually, yeah, that's his turn. Yeah, he's probably go to the closest shore, and that's the one he sees, I think.
Gotcha. Yeah, so two of them are going to bite out at him. I'm going to go ahead and say the other swarm doesn't necessarily react to him. Both of those are going to bite into him. And then again, he is going to have a DC of 14 to remain conscious. So, yeah, he'll go unconscious to the first set. And then it's actually going to be 2 death saves on the second set biting him. So he is still in the water.
So back to original place.
I guess realistically he's right there. Yeah, it's got to be the edge of the water because he's basically on the shore and they react. That's a weird one because they're attacking from the water out of it. But yeah, I feel like it's almost like you're basically like crawling out of the water with piranhas attached to you as they're like chewing on you and don't realize that they're going to die from leaving the water. But he is effectively like on the side of the shore.
Still being nibbled on though.
Yep, and then it's going to go to Island.
And which guy is being nibbled on?
Terran.
That one that I just pinged?
Yep.
And is he up or is he down?
Technically, he is unconscious and down.
All right, well, I'm going to put a hit. And our boat's sinking, right?
You guys are outside of the boat. The boat is turned over right now.
Okay, so I'm going to use my bonus action to put a healing touch on him. A healing word on him, sorry.
Gotcha.
I want to use my movement and my action to dash over to where Chris is.
So that'll give you a full 30. Another set of the fish, though, are going to try to bite at you, and they will miss.
Okay, am I like firmly on dry land now?
It's dryish.
The mushy land, but out of the
Yeah.
water. Okay.
Yep.
And then Killen's gonna take. Well, he's not gonna take any steps because he's already in the water. Killen's gonna do the same thing and dash over here.
That is a giant crocodile.
Yes, it is. Is the boat gone? Like underwater now?
No, not necessarily. So 1, 2. Oh, I only need a D5 really to select between you guys. Oh, and it's going for Jarek, so it's going for the other canoe. So pretty much the same thing is going to happen as the back of your boat is going to be bit at, and it's going to hit. It's going to do some damage to your boat. I think the same amount of damage. And then it is going to whip out with its tail. That will still hit. And I need... let's have Jarek make it. And with Eku... And she's got a good strength. We'll make 2 checks, Jarek and Eku, trying to stabilize the boat with a strength saving throw. Let's see. She's got a +3, so a 17. A 13 is 30. 15, and I think the DC is 16. Yep, so it's going to knock everybody out of the boat here. The 3 of you are going to get tossed into the boat here now. Whoopsie. I added her to initiative, but never did anything with it. So yeah, it's gonna go back around to Jarek. Oh, what would you like to do as you are thrown into the water?
Okay, am I still where my token is, or do I get moved to one side or the other? The
For what
boat
it's
tip.
worth, they're 5-foot squares. You're just in that area.
Okay, I am going to. This thing is massive, so I'm going to attempt to get to shore. I am going to use the dash action and just sort of beeline to the towards the shore, trying to evade these massive jaws and tail of this thing.
Yeah, I didn't really have it do a reaction last time. I'm not going to do it now.
Okay, and Zeros he's thinking the same thing. He's just gonna try and dive in and shoot for the shore. Eric was initially his plan was to try and dive in and save Taryn, but after that thing tossed his boat over, and this thing is massive and but that's essentially it for them. They're just trying to get the hell out of the water.
Word. Yeah, I think. I mean, without you guys having like the full stat block on a coatl, I don't think you can fully act as Eku. But I think she's actually going to fly out of the water as she returns to her natural form.
Which is what form?
Oh, that's the dragon creature I shared into Sages and Slayers.
Cool. All right.
Never actually made her a token for it though, because I didn't expect her to really use it. But she did show it to you all in secret, essentially, at some point. Um, and I think she's going to end up basically flying over to and above Terran. That's 30. Pick him up. And I think she can bring him all the way over here. And at that point, boats are kind of going to float in the water as you all are effectively behind them. The actual piranhas do nothing against that, and it will go to Valdez. What are you thinking right now?
I'm thinking that's a really big crocodile. And hmm, yeah, the fish can't get us, but the crocodile can still get on land. So I'm gonna cast Bane on the crocodile. See if that helps.
Gotcha. Charisma. I bet you crocodiles have really high charisma. -2. Big ol' fail. So it is Bane. I feel like the death skull with a little circle around it looks like a great Bane token. So it's, yeah, attack rolls and saving throws, right? It's the -4? Yeah.
Yep.
And anything from Terran.
Well, Terran will thank Echo profusely. Very much saving his bacon. And I think just gonna step a bit close. Like, let's see. Would that still be on? That's still on shore, right? Or is that in water?
Yeah, like I said, like all of this terrain is difficult terrain. So the fact that to me I consider that like a mucky between, um, essentially kind of like any of these spaces where you see like little bits of blue, I think of that as kind of like the swampy edge of this. In particular, this map was actually designed to be like a large region instead of a small river. I just thought it made a good Chultian River. So I'd say in general, like that area is kind of like a mucky in between water and dirt. Like you're gonna have to crawl deep into the actual forest before it starts to really feel like solid ground, as far as I kind of think of this.
Okay, then he's gonna hold his attack if the giant crocodile is coming after them. Or anything else for that matter, but basically hold his melee attack if anything gets near him.
Gotcha. So that should take it to Island.
Okay. Alan's gonna fire off a guiding bolt at the crocodile.
Solid strike, dealing 9 damage.
It's a lot of dice for 9 damage, huh?
Probably a lot of ones.
Yeah, totally. And then I guess that's what I'm gonna do. I'm out of reach of the piranha, but the croc can probably reach me if it decides, right?
Yeah, I think it's a safe bet for you all to recognize the crocodile itself doesn't really necessarily have a difference of choices, whether it's going to attack on land or whether it's going to attack in the water. Just in the water, it's probably going to pull you to the bottom and drown you, and that's usually how it'll feed.
Is that the first damage we've done to the croc?
That is indeed the first damage you've done to it.
Okay. Well, I'm sure it's mad at me. I'm just gonna stand by. And then Kellen's gonna have a shot. I'd like to use his ranged weapon, but I don't know really what it is. Do you guys have sheets for these people? Like, I don't have one for my guy.
Under the allies, that's where you guys have like your little things. So Killen has the sword master. I don't think he's going to have a ranged weapon.
Oh, okay, got it.
I mean, in the long run, if you guys want, I don't see a reason why you couldn't necessarily give a ranged weapon to your allies. But you would probably be giving your ranged weapon to them.
Okay, I'll buy him one at some point. So I see the allies there. I guess I don't know a lot. He's got just the one signature attack, right?
Indeed, yep.
All right, I guess he's gonna stand next to me and think about protecting me if need be. Like he'll hold an action. If the crocodile comes up, he'll make his signature attack with his sword.
Gotcha.
And that's it.
So, I think it's going to simply attack Terran with its tail. It's going to whip out at you. It is going to hit. And I need you to basically make a Constitution saving throw. And if you pass that, it's going to be a Strength saving throw. But DC 14 con. So yeah, he's going to get knocked unconscious again. And then I'm sorry that it's you, but this is how it's going to play out. The crocodile is going to move forward. It's going to bite down on his body, and it's dragging him into the water.
I don't think we heard who.
Terran.
Got it.
And it'll be one of those things where, like, it's there. You guys are vaguely aware of where it is, but it's underwater, so it's out of view on levels 2. And then it's going to go to Yarrick.
Okay, yeah. So Jarek, he had his scimitar out when he dove into the water, so he can't. This thing's back underwater, and it's dragged away Terran. So there's not really anything you can do in the moment. Yeah, he's going to. He's gonna. He's gonna. Sheathe his scimitar, draw out his crossbow, but he doesn't have time to load it yet. So that's essentially going to be all he can do. And
How's the reloading work on it? I thought you could only take one shot a turn.
Yeah, so essentially he's like he had his scimitar out, so he's sheathing that and like essentially starting to load his crossbow, but he can't actually fire it this turn.
I gotcha. So part of what it would be is it's really like drop your scimitar to pull your crossbow with a free action, but that still wouldn't let you shoot it. I might just be misunderstanding reloading, that it actually takes an action to reload it.
Yeah, I mean essentially the idea is that like his with his free action, I guess he's sheathing his sword. With his action, he's pulling out the crossbow, and then the next turn would be when he, with his action, loads and fires it. So
Yeah,
he's
but
not actually.
that's kind of what I'm saying too, though, is you can actually drop the sword if you would like, and actually go through the process of drawing the crossbow as your free action.
So then you can load it and fire
Yeah,
it.
so it says you can only fire one piece of ammunition from it when you use an action. Um, Realistically, it says bonus or reaction as well, but it's basically that you are limited to the one with the loading. So if you are welcome to roleplay this, but I also see it as if you drop your sword, you can still fire a shot here. Like if you want to roleplay it like that, that's great. If you want to put it behind a die roll on how you're thinking about it, but I think the mechanics do allow you to take that shot if you want to.
Okay, I think he's just worried about. Um, I don't know how firm is the ground like under them. Like if he drops his sword, is it going to like go into the? He doesn't want to like drop it into the water and lose it. Is I guess was my thinking around why
On
he
some
wouldn't.
level, you're in mud, so there is certainly a chance that you could lose shit by dropping it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of his reasoning for not just dropping it on the ground. And plus, he doesn't really have a good view of the thing as it goes back underwater, dragging it. So I mean,
Yeah,
there's
you
not
guys are
really.
essentially at disadvantage to take a shot into this creature, anyways.
Yeah, so I just think he's not going to. There's not really much he can do. He's kind of doing what he can, and then Zeros, on the other hand, will essentially at disadvantage. He'll just try and fire a.
So his
Well,
is a straight shot because it is lit up with guiding bolts, so this is a straight shot on it.
okay.
Oh shit, what did I hit him with? Oh yeah, that was a 26 to hit him with the tail. Even with the Bane, it's not going to do anything. 16, I believe that is a hit. Yeah, 14 armor. That's a solid hit into it.
Man, nothing for damage with this Eldritch Blast. I've rolled a 1 and 2 twos. But yeah, essentially that's kind of all he can do.
Don't know if there's anything that Echo can really do to save him. Um, she's got telepathy, so she knows exactly where it is. And she can kind of direct you all towards it to chase it. She could possibly move in to cure wounds him, but he's still in the jaws of the creature. He's effectively grappled right now. And she could like sanctuary, but depending on what you all think, I'm not sure if she really has like a solution. She could try to contest the strength score and pull him out of its grasp. But it's a pretty massive creature versus her. She's essentially still a medium creature. What do you all
Yeah.
think?
I mean, I feel like she would do whatever she can, but she's not going to be suicidal and do it. Like, she's not going to, um, like, there's not really any much of a reasonable chance of success. I'm not sure she would try to save him anyway, if that makes sense. Like she would risk herself for him if she thought she could save him, but it seems like it's very small chance of that actually happening. And maybe like the good of the rest of the group, like she's seen that they all need her help too. That's just kind of my thinking out loud.
How about Chris and Larry? What are you guys thinking right here?
I think she might try to grab him back. She's a dragon, right?
I mean, it's not really a dragon. She is a celestial creature.
What do you think, Chris? You know her better. She's new to me.
I mean, I'm feeling a bit like Justin said. She would try to save him if she thought there was a chance to save him. But it's a really big creature. Even if she heals him, they're underwater, still in his jaws. It's not really much she can do, to be honest. He's pretty screwed.
So let's have Chris roll a d20 with a +3 strength modifier. And then let me have Justin roll a d20 with a +5 strength modifier. And I hope Chris rolled high there. So 16 versus the crocodiles. Oh, wait. Oh, you added the +5 beforehand. Yeah, she's going to pull him out of its jaws.
I'm pretty sure Karen is gonna start worshipping Eku by this point.
So that is her action, though, so she's not able to do anything to actually heal him there. Oh, shit. That's what I did. Jarek just went. It was her, the piranhas, so it's going to Valdis, right?
And I don't have any spell slots left. I can't heal.
Even after the long rest?
Yeah, I still only have 2 spell slots.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've got you. Bane is still on it. I got you.
Yeah, so 1 heal.
Oh, shit. Yeah, Bane was on that too, so I feel like that would have been even lower.
Does Bane work for contest?
I think it's only like attacks and saving throws.
I don't really care. I feel like a celestial versus a giant crocodile, Bane's gonna work. I feel like contested versus a celestial, Bane works. That's what I'm going for.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
So yeah, like I mean, you could move over to your buddy and do a medicine check. I think that would be the next best thing for Valdis to do is rock out a medicine check here, because immediately after your turn ends here, you're doing a death saving throw, and if you roll under 10, it's a death.
Yeah, hopefully this work. I have proficiency, just not very good at it.
Solid, stabilize. Stabilized but unconscious. And then, yeah, I think unless you actually wanted to actually move You could potentially drag him some. It's gonna go off to Island here.
Oh, could I drag him some? It's like just get him.
Yes, essentially to drag him where you are right now, like you can move one space back, is like 20 feet of movement. So you can pretty much move him one space backward right now.
Well, then I would probably do that just to get him as far back as possible.
And then what do you got, Island?
I'm going to step back, do a healing kit on Terran. So 1d6 plus 4 plus 1. Is that right?
I mean, realistically, for what it's worth, again, this is one of those things where it's kind of broken for these characters. You can do the other one that just heals 1, and he's back up.
Oh, I can't do the one where because he's unconscious. I have to. Does
Well,
it have
they
to
don't
happen
have
when
hit
he's?
points.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, so he's up
They
at
more or
1.
less have hit dice kind of thing.
I
If
understand.
they're
Yeah.
like right now, they literally have they are either alive or they are dead right now. At level 2, they'll be able to take like 2 dice worth of damage. So like something like this crocodile's doing 4d6. They would have to be level 5 before they could take more than 1 hit from the crocodile. But like if somebody swung a scimitar at a level 2 one of these guys, it can only deal half of their life basically.
Got it. Yeah, I was forgetting that they're allies. Okay, so that's my move. I'm gonna do a healing kit on him, and I'm gonna back up. I think I'd like to drag him another 5 feet.
Gotcha. Yeah, so it costs you 10 to do that, so you can do the full 30 basically to drag him to that. And then he'll just be unconscious and prone at that point.
Can I?
Or rather, conscious and prone.
Yeah, he's at 1 hit point. Okay. All right, that's that guy's move, and Kellen's gonna step back as well, but he's standing by for the croc with his action held to make his attack if the croc comes up on the beach. Oh, and our boats are floating away. Copy that.
Yeah, I meant to do something for them about how they're floating.
Oh crap! Our provisions and tents are on the boat.
So yeah, croc as it's. Let's see. So I think you're going to see just as it kind of like crawls up to the edge of the water, and it is going to whip its tail out at Eku. 23 is definitely going to hit her.
Even with a D4 minus.
Her AC is 19, so yes, even if it rolled the 4, it's still going to be a hit for her. Let's do a strength saving throw from Chris. Roll a d20 for me. And you need a 13 to keep her from being knocked prone. I do not think she has hover. She would fall to the ground. Yep, so she's
Yeah.
going to fall to the ground, and it is going to bite down on her. Oh, shit, and it's going to miss. So yeah, it's gonna try to bite into her as she's falling, and it just snaps its jaws shut a little bit too soon. And I think it's gonna try to drop back into the water. And I think she's gonna bite out at it because she has her own reactions that she can do. And she can do. You may have somebody roll a Constitution saving throw, just a D20 for the giant croc, and she's gonna do 8 damage to it. Nice roll, Jack. I do not think it has a high enough Constitution to make that a save. So it's going to be poisoned, I believe that said, right? Poison for 24 hours. It is unconscious on the edge of the water right now. It is going to go to you, Jarek. This thing is unconscious. If you attack it, it's probably going to wake up. But at present, you guys have a way out of this encounter right now.
Okay. Garrett's gonna. Yeah, he looks towards the croc as it kind of it goes unconscious, and then he kind of like almost like starts to raise his crossbow, decides against it, and sort of as like out of the corner of his eye sees the boats kind of floating past, and he's going to try and like make a beeline uh, for this the one that's the essentially the lead one. Is this all dry ground, or does he have to go into the water again if he goes straight south, essentially?
It's kind of the same idea. You guys are kind of like right in between there. If you are going to make a beeline for one of these canoes right now, um, like in particular one, you don't actually know where these piranhas are right now. When they go to actually act again, it's going to be pretty arbitrary where I bring them back up. So you have a pretty good sensation as you start to move for these. You may be encountering those creatures. You've already seen them swarming both Killen as well as Terran, and are pretty aware of what they are. But you also know probably your best chance is actually making a run for the first of the canoe, and you can potentially just have Eku grab the other one. I think realistically, you guys are at a pretty solid position to get out of this encounter right now. You have that recognition that the canoes are close to you, and it's basically moving forward and then dashing to get into the canoe and bring it into the shore, and then basically having her go after the other one. As soon as it's her turn on the next moment, she's basically going to be able to tell you that croc is asleep for 24 hours right there.
Okay, and yeah, and he's seen Eku like flying about now, so maybe he'll go for the one that he can sort of reach. Kind of keeping a little bit of space between him and the croc. He will. Um, can he attempt to grab it and drag it onto start to drag it onto shore with his action and the rest of his movement, or would he have to get in to direct it?
Oh yeah, if you wanted to do that, I'd say you could probably make one more space backwards, and basically drag the canoe. Yep, just kind of like that, and just drag the canoe a little bit more in towards the shore for everyone.
Yeah, and I think then maybe actually Zeros would move to try and help him, and maybe see if they can get it
Do
like
the same
another,
thing basically there.
yeah, like another 5 feet back or whatever. Yeah.
So more or less get it to that point. Obviously, I could kind of shift it like that.
Yeah. That's yeah. Yeah, and that would be their turn.
So yeah, Eku can pretty much call out to you all that for now the crocodile is dealt with. Don't hurt it. And she's able to fly off for the other canoe and bring it in. Depending on how much action economy, I feel like for now she's going to stay in this form, but essentially kind of go for that. And again, I think overall at that point, this is a pretty safe time to say this encounter is kind of dealt with, unless you guys had anything in particular without necessarily going through the turn order. Chris, Larry, do you guys have any thoughts about what Valdis, Aelin, Terran, and Killen would be doing here?
Getting to the canoes. That's my goal.
Yeah. Same here. Ballast would help. Tearing up,
Yeah.
basically. Go for canoes.
Sounds good. So I think overall, I like the idea of assuming anything that you guys aren't carrying on your person is effectively tied to the canoe. Your canoes are well damaged right now, but you guys are welcome to hop in them and actually continue on. I feel like, does somebody have mending in this group, or was that a previous thought that I think Justin and I had that conversation?
Yeah, I had that idea for potentially a different cantrip for um,
The paladin version of
Carvath.
Yarrick? Okay, Carvath, word.
For for a different game, yeah. But yeah, no, he doesn't have any. He does have no, but he has proficiency with land vehicles, not sea vehicles, so he wouldn't even know really anything specifically about how to repair this thing.
One of the things I was actually going to ask you with that thought is if you actually wanted to have sea vehicles as that choice, particularly because effectively you know this whole campaign is jungle. There's no room for land vehicles here. A land vehicle here is a dinosaur that you ride on top of.
Yeah, it doesn't actually give you the option to pick one or the other. It just gives you land vehicles.
Yeah, so for what it's worth, if you want to make that choice with your character, I am perfectly okay with it being effectively sea vehicles. That you have like boat proficiency instead of like cart proficiency.
Okay, yeah, and he did like essentially my idea of his background is he worked in a port and he was maybe spent some years as like a stevedore and a runner and a so it would I think make sense if he had sea vehicles instead of land vehicles.
So yeah, that was definitely a very wild occasion. I'm just gonna narrate a little bit of like the rest of this day. I'm assuming you guys are going to hop back in the canoes and again go at a fast pace, trying to move along. Just a side note, part of that fast pace is why you didn't notice when the piranha actually started to follow you guys there. But in general, as long as you're not like dunking your face into the water to wash your faces, you're probably pretty safe from them while you're in the canoe. It was mildly hilarious that I rolled the piranha and then immediately after the giant croc. And it says in the piranha basically they follow you until they can't anymore. So it's like until you leave the water, they follow you. And then the croc is like, yeah, those boats are fucked. But overall, I think shortly after this, you guys actually get blasted by more like torrential high wind rains and kind of progress on for a while. And I think about how long do you guys think you're going about this day? Again, we kind of started at 1, so 5 hours into the day is 6, where you still have good amount of light to set camp. If you try to make 20 miles in this day, you're looking at towards like 11 p.m. and well past dark. But again, you've got Eku. She generally knows these areas and also has the ability to cast light. Does Island have light, Larry?
Indeed, yeah.
So yeah, at that point, as long as you keep the two of you in different boats, you guys can actually, you can do anything from actually casting light on the boat, to casting light on like particular parts. But you guys can kind of light up your boats and keep yourselves pretty well lit while you're traveling. What kind of thought do you guys like to throw that back to it? Like, how far do you think you're going today?
Yeah, initially I was thinking we would essentially stop once it got dark, but I completely forgot about they have light sources, and so if we're on the water, maybe
Actually, I'm sorry, I had one more bit of information that might be useful. When you guys started this day, you were about 100 miles away from Camp Righteous, which is about 5 days in the canoe, doing 10-hour hard days. And you can kind of max out at 15 hours in the boats. before you have to rest to avoid exhaustion. But those are all like at high speeds. You can basically max out at 30 miles in a day.
I sort of think we should camp and then get up early and do a 15-hour day tomorrow in the boats from like an hour before dawn till dusk. You know?
I mean, I don't know. How tenacious is this crocodile going to be? Do we want to try and put as much distance as we can between us and it before it wakes up?
Well, we had 24 hours before it wakes up, so
Let me have everybody do animal handling.
Might be the only time we're safe is it during this 24 hours.
And among some of the thoughts that I will put out there, if you guys go to sleep early tonight, you're basically like going to try to avoid exhaustion, but not gain a long rest insofar as your spell slots. And like on some level, your sleep schedule is foobar because of that last night and basically sleeping during the daytime there.
Oh, I was trying to get back on our sleep schedule, but we can't. All right.
Yeah, Yark, I think you would have a pretty good understanding that this realistically is probably the best time for you guys to travel. If you can get, yeah, and Echo will kind of echo this for you. If you guys can get away from this crocodile's like feeding grounds, what it considers its territory, that is your best chance for this thing not to hunt you down. But there is a certain level of when it wakes up, it's going to be able to pick up your scent in the water, and that's going to be one of those things. If you're close enough, it's going to hunt you down.
Yeah. So given that, I think Jarek's vote would be for continuing on. Keep going, light up keep going into darkness, light up the boats, and just get as much distance as we can tonight. Given that we got a late start, and then we can, try and, eventually maybe try and get back onto our normal, rhythms sleep wise. But for now, just try and get as far as we can.
So, how does Island as well as Valdez think about that?
Yeah, no, that sounds good to me now. Since we can't get a long rest, let's go till we can.
yeah, Valdez hearing, well, both from Yarek and Eku, we just like wholeheartedly agree.
All right. So, as you guys push on here, you are in pretty much torrential rainfall for most of this initial part of the trip. It's probably a solid like 6 or 8 hours, it feels like, where it's just constant rainfall. You are going to cover those two of the actual hexes. I think I moved you over to this map. Yep. You're going to cover those two of the hexes as you push forward here. One of the choices that you will then have before you can potentially move into that like 30 miles for this day, the latter 5 hours of paddling, is that I think it's actually in the 10th hour. Yep, the 10th hour, you guys are going to come up on a canoe on the edge of the water, and it's pulled up on shore. It's not actually like in the water. 6 paddles are inside of it. It doesn't necessarily take you guys time to investigate that and find out what it is, but you've got a canoe in front of you on the side of the side of the river. What thoughts do you all have with that?
Be good to have another canoe.
Wait, were you suggesting we take the canoe?
There's no, if it doesn't belong to anybody, let's go see who's there, who owns it.
About this, roll an investigation. I'm going to pretend that has advantage because you are being followed by Terran, because that was an incredibly bad roll. and it makes me want to lower the DC after seeing it. As you look over things, canoe's got a little bit of water in it, so it's at least been here for this entire day. But at present, don't really see any signs. Like, at least the water has washed away any signs of people leaving it here. But as you look around, yeah, you're not able to find anything that seems to be anybody is waiting to come back to this canoe.
There's no footprints going up into the woods, into the jungle.
You can do another investigation check.
I'd like to do a survival check, but
You can do survival. I guess really it's probably investigation with your proficiency bonus.
well, there we go. I just assume there's some people camping because it's night.
Well, we don't know how long it's been here. It could have been here for days.
Yeah, as you look off towards the edge of the trail, you don't see any signs of footprints there either.
Well, is this where we're going to camp? And then we'll see if it's still here in the morning. Or do you want to camp away from here? See you tomorrow.
Like you said, it was like dragged up onto shore, right? So it looks like it's possible that they're intending to get whoever put it here. It's like it's not. It doesn't seem like it's in danger of being washed back into the water. Like it wasn't. Like it was essentially grounded.
Do an insight check. You guys are crushing clues about this canoe. I think you guys are coming to the conclusion this canoe is like come out of the ethereal plane and just like sat here.
It's a magical canoe. Just appeared here one day.
Well, if it's a magical crocodile resistant canoe, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I roll a 2 to like distinguish what's going on with it. At that point, I'm gonna say when you look at it, it does not look like it's been pulled up on this water. This canoe looks like it might have washed up here. So I think at that point, it is kind of a confirming for you guys. This canoe is not waiting for its owners to come back. This canoe is lost. It needs a home, and it's giving you puppy dog eyes.
Well, we should definitely bring it along with us. But is it time to camp, or is it time to take the canoe and keep going? Thought it was camp time. Did we make our third?
This is
our third?
effectively like a couple hours into the nighttime. If you guys wanted to try to make the 30 miles, you still have 5 hours ahead of you. If you are ready to actually make camp, it is certainly a viable option at this point. But that, again, is kind of up to you.
I mean, we could send 2 people into the third canoe and take all 3. Right, have 2, 2, and 2, and then try and get a little bit more distance, and then camp. Like make the full 30 in camp.
Sounds good. Who's going to be in the bait canoe in the back? That's the question.
Oh, I guess me and Taryn can be there. I also have light.
Terrence been chewed a couple times already today.
Yeah.
I mean, is the bait canoe the new canoe? Because technically it would be Terran and Valdis in the nice canoe.
That sounds good. Let's do that.
Everybody else's canoe looks wrecked.
Well, I'd like to get to the 20 miles anyway, so we can get a long rest. I think that's the right next step.
No. Right now, you guys have knocked out 20 miles.
Oh, okay.
30 miles will be basically pushing it towards where you're actually like tired and ready to sleep. If you stop now, you basically have like 5 hours of hanging out before you really feel tired.
Oh, well, put that way. Let's keep going.
Yeah, let's keep going. I feel like that too. Get as much distance away from that crocodile.
Does the canoe look particularly different than the ones that we have? Like, does it say I belong to big scary tribesman on the side of it?
I think it's gonna feel a little bit narrower on the hips. It's not like the same construction. I like the idea that one's a dugout canoe. Like you can actually see signs of like it started as like you burn out the center, and then they basically pick at it with axes to kind of clean out the edges. But more or less, it is like a single tree that has been felled and actually cut into a canoe.
So it could be like an Emerald Enclave canoe. What does Urko? Does Urko know anything about it? Does that look like it belongs to your friends, Urko?
If I were to guess, that appears to be a Batiri canoe.
As in small goblin creature canoe.
Yes, goblins.
So there's nothing unethical about taking that, is there?
Well, I mean, if you ask the goblin creatures, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't.
The debate about whether it's ethical or not is something we could surely discuss. At present, it may be a blessing for us to have found a canoe without owners. Whether they are friends of yours or not, I don't think changes whether it's okay to take from them were they here. But it doesn't appear that they are here. Perhaps it appears this canoe has been washed away with a storm.
Cool. Well, let's pack up that Batiri canoe and get going.
Yeah, dibs on the Batiri canoe.
So you can like edit into the actual like party loot list where you guys have that all set up that you now have a third canoe. Effectively with each canoe, I don't know if I'll ever like make you lose paddles, but when you have 3 canoes, we kind of assume you have 18 paddles now inside of them. And as far as things go there, I think we'll actually pick up with this last little bit. Um, we'll start next week, basically, like approaching that long rest. Um, yeah, and I am pretty sure at that point, when you guys long rest next time, we're going to have you level up. So don't level up this week, but be prepared to level up um, into the session. So like have things planned for what spells you would like to take. Feel like I think bards choose their college at level 2. I may be wrong, but kind of look into what's going to happen when you level up. But we'll do that in session next week, and kind of pick up here. For what it's worth, as so far as to what's going on, we are basically traveling another 3 hours before you guys are actually going to cross the water, and you're going to see just a line of goblins in front of you. And that's where we're actually going to pick up, is like 3 hours downriver, where there's like goblins essentially, like just waiting for people to paddle up the river.